Let's bring in our experts once again, Olivia Rubin, who's been tracking him for us, and former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani. All right, Neema, let's talk about the prosecution here. Why put Shannon Burgess on the stand? Because you've been listening to him. He's having a tough time.
He is. I mean, Commonwealth found themselves in a position where the original analyst wasn't available. And you need someone that's going to come interpret this data. I mean, obviously, you know, ordinary folks like myself, we can't review electronic data recorders or get into an iPhone to find out when it's locked. So, but a witness like this that's so incredibly important needs to be more prepared, both in terms of his background and experience, because Alan Jackson and the defense team, they've done their research. They're going to come after him very aggressively. So, something about lying on your resume, having a degree that you don't, or other experience and qualifications, that's the type of thing that can really turn off the potential jurors here. So let's see if he can bounce back and whether the prosecution can score some points during his redirect. It's been a pretty effective cross-examination so far.
Neema, why would he be up there with fake information about himself?
That is a great question. And I don't know, Kira, why people lie, especially expert witnesses. There's statistics out there that a significant percentage of people do embellish their resumes and they add degrees that they don't have. But if you're testifying under oath, under penalty of perjury, the entire country is watching this case. Why don't you clean up your resume? Why the exhibits that you present to the court, everything's has to be truthful and honest. And the jurors might say, you know what? If this guy's lying about himself, why do I expect him to tell the truth about this murder case?
Well, Olivia, who do you think we'll see next on the stand?
It's hard to say. This witness really was key for them. Remember, they won this ruling last week from the judge who said that they can present this new evidence. And it was big for them to be able to rectify that timeline. Remember, before this, they had John O'Keefe, someone who had allegedly been just hit and killed by a car, manually locking his iPhone. And that was a key hole for the defense to sort of tug at. And now this witness was supposed to be rectifying that, but as you just, covered, he's on the stand with parts of his resume that are falsified. The jury could possibly have some issues with that, and that could poke holes for them in some of this new evidence that is supposed to be moving the prosecution along, Kira. And I also think something that's so interesting and something we haven't discussed that much is the fact that Karen Reed has on her defense team a new lawyer from the first trial, and it's actually an alternate juror who served in the first trial and now is part of her legal team for the second trial. So you'd have to think that that former juror was giving them insights, what worked for the jury, what possibly didn't work. And something that juror said, that former juror, was that she really leaned into this idea of prosecutorial misconduct, that they were doing things that perhaps were not on the up and up. And now you have a witness on the stand, again, who's lied on his resume. So you have to be wondering if they're teasing that out because potentially it's worked for the jury before.
Oh, my gosh. Neema, what do you make of that?
I agree with Olivia. The best defense is a good offense. So good criminal defense lawyers, what they do is they go after the government, the prosecution, and they say that, you know what, these are the ones who should be put on trial. This is going back to OJ and LAPD. So obviously we know the defense here is a cover up, this vast conspiracy. So to the extent that the defense isn't on the defense and they're going after the state's witnesses this aggressively, it certainly helps Karen Reed.
All right, Neema, Olivia, let's listen in.